Good evening, good morning, good day to everybody. My name is Deborah Abna, and today I am so happy to talk about International Women's Day. So, thank you guys so much for being here. We're going to have a small discussion about the importance of women agency, and we are really, really happy that you guys are here with us. So, before we get started, I'm just going to introduce the president of the Global um, Pan Africanism Network, Mr. Daniel, and he's gonna say a quick speech, and then we'll go ahead and continue with the program. So without further ado, we're just going to add Mr. Daniel to the stream. He has a lot to say, so let's wait for him.
Thank you very much, host, for adding me. This is a very important day for women around the world, and also for women of African descent around the world. You are watching this program in United States of Africa Facebook page, also the African History Month YouTube channel, and also on LinkedIn. Happy International Women's Day. The African History Month acknowledges the pivotal role of Black women in setting the pace and trends, building families, preserving culture, and shaping the world. The Black women are pillars of our society, and it is our obligation as Black men to revere and protect Black women at all costs from systems that were designed to impede their progress and development. The Black women in America, 400 years after the abolition of slavery, are still fighting for the right to wear their natural hair. Tignon-era slavish laws that encourage natural hair discrimination still exist to this day in the United States Constitution, and only 8 states have banned and Black hair discrimination at workplaces and schools, even after the signing of the Crown Act, which protects people against hair discrimination in schools and at workplaces. In 42 states across the United States, the law does not protect citizens from discrimination for how they choose to wear their hair or represent their heritage. On this day, in revelation of these inequalities and racial injustices that exist against Black women, I call upon these 42 states to end these slavish natural hair discrimination laws and allow Black women to breathe. Black women have a right to express their culture through their natural hair, and no black woman should be limited to what she can be. It's daring Black women like Shirley Chisholm, the first Black woman to be elected to Congress, Dame Mary Eugenia Charles, the first woman lawyer in Dominica, and also the first first female prime minister of Dominica. Former president of Liberia, His Excellency Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, the first female president in Africa, and also World Trade Organization director Dr. Ngozi Okonjo, the first woman to be the Director General of World Trade Organization, and she also happens to be the first Black woman to occupy such important position. These stories of Black women have kept on inspiring the world, and indeed it shows that Black women can rise, Black women can lead, and Black women have equal capabilities like any other races. Over the years, it has become quite clear that the experiences of Black women are unique all over the world and completely different to any other women. And this is why the African History Month is focusing on all women of African descent. There have been futile attempts to start divisions and turn Black women against Black men in America. But today I call for Black women and Black men to unite more than ever before. Without unity, it will be impossible to create the conditions and enabling environment for Black women to reach their full potential, as well as Black men to fulfill their aspirations and deliver on their responsibilities in the community. Thomas Sankara, in his words, comrades, there is no true social revolution without liberation of women. May my ears never see and may my feet never take me to a society where half the people are held in silence. I hear the roar of women's silence. I sense the rumble of their storm, and I feel the fury of their revolt. Thomas Sankara, with these words, reiterated that there is no African development without empowering our women and giving Black women equal access to education, healthcare, and normalize electing them into high political offices. The United States of Africa continues to create more spaces for women of African descent to share their stories, to thrive, network, and actively participate in creating solutions to the challenges that we are facing all over the world. Happy International Women's Day and happy Black Women's Day. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that speech, Daniel. We really definitely appreciate it. And I agree with you in what you were saying. This is a really special day, and we should really take care. Some things I wanted to talk about before I introduce the next panel of guests and actually open up the floor. Um, what Daniel said in his speech is very true because in some parts of Africa, especially, women's healthcare is neglected. A lot of people think that a lot of women suffer mostly because of domestic abuse, but actually, the number one killer in Africa, at least, is the neglection of women healthcare, access to healthcare. Like some women don't even have proper access to healthcare, it's not seen as important. And when I'm talking about this, I'm not necessarily talking about FGM. I'm mostly talking about childbirth. In some places, childbirth is not seen as something that is important. Um, they don't think that driving to the hospital is that important, and a lot of women actually die from that process. These are things that are bothering women, but because in some societies and in some cultures, women are just supposed to be seen, they're not supposed to be heard. When women are complaining or voicing out their sorrow about these type of things, it doesn't get taken as seriously, because they don't have men that can advocate on behalf of them. And I think that has something to do with the fact that maybe men just don't understand. But we have to change these things because these are things that are really, really serious. When we're talking about education, I agree that maybe in some cultures and in some religion, women maybe don't need to go to university. I understand that. But what I don't like in some African tradition and in some African culture, women are not even encouraged to finish their basic education. I feel like a child, at least in 2021, should at least have, they should at least finish all of their primary education. I think secondary school is also important, but if you don't get to secondary school, okay. But still, in some cultures and in some traditions, they don't see that a girl finishing primary school is important. They actually see a girl finishing primary school to be a problem because then they think that that girl, her mind is too open, she's going to speak too much, she's going to be a problem, but they don't see the girl or the woman finishing primary school as something that can be an addition to actually help the whole family. Because there is that saying that if you educate a girl, you educate a village. But people don't see it in that way. And I honestly think that in 2021, we need to relook at some of these cultures. We need to relook at some of these traditions. Yes, even in my case, I know my grandmother did not go to school, but my mother went to school. I did, and I see the importance of me going to school. So I don't think that some of these culture and these traditions that they shouldn't be changed. They should be changed. Some of them they should modernize with the times. There was a reason why our great grandmothers did not go to school, but in 2021, girls should be encouraged to get an education. What ends up happening when girls don't get an education is that then we sit there and we wonder why some girls or why some women marry for money. Well, if I'm a woman, right, or a girl, I didn't go to school. I then can't open a business because I'm illiterate. So I can't open a shop. My life then is only dependent on what my husband can do for me. So now we're raising women, we're raising girls to be dependent only on their marriage. That usually means that now women and girls can only marry for money because they lack the basic human fundamental skills to survive. And that is a huge, huge problem. Now, my last point before I add the other panelists, I don't want to speak too long, but my last point is there is still a culture nowadays. I was speaking to one of my Nigerian friends. They said in her tribe, only the men receive the inheritance. So if a father passes away, his male child or his male children will receive the inheritance, but the females of the family will not receive the inheritance. She was telling me that this was not fair because her brothers are going to get all the money, but she's going to have to struggle to get married to get money. If she struggles to get money when she marries, or if she doesn't marry and she has children, that means her children are going to struggle, all because of a tradition that is not fair. So let's seriously look at some of these things and let's try to change some of these practices that we have normalized for so long and that we know are just not right. You know, we know it's not progressing. We know that it's not moving us forward as a people. We cannot neglect the girl children. We cannot neglect them. You know, we neglect them and then we expect that somebody else takes care of them, but we don't encourage them to have the tools to be able to take care of themselves and to take care of their own children. Um, this is not feminism, but women should not be oppressed. You know, women should not be oppressed. They should be taken care of. They should be looked as co-equals. And in so many African societies, they're not. But then we don't have enough advocacy on the male's part to change these type of things because they don't experience it firsthand. It's the women that experience this firsthand. So we need to make sure that some of these practices are changed. I believe no one else in the background right now, so I'm just gonna look at some of these comments. I'm just waiting for somebody at the moment. I agreed with you. Happy Women's Day. So I'm gonna go ahead and add the second panelist for this discussion. And I just want to thank everybody again for being here, everybody who's watching us live from the Global Pan-Africanism Network, everybody who's watching from United States of Africa, and everybody else who's watching on Facebook, WhatsApp, any YouTube, any type of platform. We want to say Happy International Women's Day. Hopefully, if you have a woman in your life, tell her Happy International Women's Day. So I'm going to go ahead and add her right now. Hello? Hi, Bruce. Thank you so much for being here. I'm not able to hear you. Okay, so I'm just going to wait for her and possibly add her. Let's try once more. Hello? Hi. No, I'm able to see you, but the audio was breaking up a little bit. Okay, how about you reload, like refresh the page and then come back on? Maybe that. It might be the platform. So we're just gonna wait for her to do that. And then we'll come back. But yes, happy International Women's Day to everybody. What is the date today? Today's March 8th, right? Yes, March 8th. Happy International Women's Day. Uh, Thank you guys so much for being here. Everybody in the GPAN movement, everybody in the United States of Africa, and everybody who's watching, please drop a comment in the comment section. What do you think this day means to you, and why do you think that this is important? You know, and I also want to ask, I know the women here are going to give really great answers, but I'm also curious to hear what some of the men have to say about this. Do you guys think that this is important? Do you guys think that this is not important? Like, how do you feel about this? Because I think that even as a woman, I'll say it from my perspective, when it comes to things like this, I see a lot of women, but I don't see a lot of support from the men. And that makes me kind of concerned because even if we look at me personally, I'm a Pan-Africanist, right? So I follow Pan-African stuff. Me personally, when I see all these great men, Patrice Lumbumba, uh, Thomas Sankara, I'm trying to think of some, Haile Selassie, Soritsi Kama, Julius Nyerere, when you even see Malcolm X, all of these people, they had good families and they also had women that matched them. Their wives were not just stay-at-home wives. Their wives were also activists themselves, you know? So even when you look at very successful men, some of these very successful men had women that were in the background doing even more sometimes, but they never get the recognition as well. So we have to empower, women, and we have to really understand that women historically have been in the background for certain reasons, but that doesn't mean that the women weren't doing anything. That doesn't mean that the women weren't working, right? So we also have to get back to that. I'm going to go ahead and add Ruth once more. Hello. Okay, that probably was a connection error. So if anyone has anything to say, if not, then we're probably going to close this out in maybe about 5 minutes. But yeah, we just want to thank you guys once again for being here, and we really appreciate it. It's a very important and special day, and we should try to celebrate women more. Um, as I mentioned before, I think some of the reasons why historically women were not celebrated is because we weren't allowed to go to school. We weren't allowed to do a lot of things. So I think sometimes that makes us forget the women that were there in history, because it wasn't common for women to be allowed to do a lot of things that we're doing right now today. So that might make us think that the women who came before us didn't do anything. It's not that they didn't do anything. It's I think they were in a lot of cultures and societies that didn't really promote what they were doing. Instead, they would promote more what the men were doing. And um, I know we all celebrate different religions, we all celebrate different things, but if you look at traditional African culture sees women equal to men. It doesn't see women as under men. It doesn't see women as less important than men. So I feel like this whole idea of maybe women being less important than men and all of these things that we see today, it's unfortunately a form of colonization. It's unfortunately a form of oppression. It's unfortunately a form of dominance and control. And that's something that we need to check, because Africans are naturally communist, not the Western definition of communist, but Africans are naturally communal, right? So if that's the case, then you see the importance of a woman, and you see the importance of men, and you also see the importance of giving women voices, giving women choices, especially on things that concern only women, right? Why is it that we have some male politicians making choices for issues that just have to do with women? That's not really something that I think is all that effective. So these are some of the mechanisms, these are some of the things that we really need to look into. So with all of that being said, I'm just gonna wait for my president to give us the leeway on if we should end the show there or not. I'm just waiting for a signal. Um, no, I don't think so. I think that historically Africa was more communal than it is today, because Africans are copying certain models that are more westernized. Not all of Africa, but I think a lot of the progressive African societies are copying models that are more westernized, not models that were from us. So, yeah, if that answers your question. We celebrate our women as they take their throne. Africa has always respected our queens. The capitalist civilization corrupted our. Yeah, yeah, you're correct. You're 100% correct. I agree with you 100%. So how do you propose though that we go back to our traditional African way? Like, how do you think we can do that? Because as I mentioned before, and as Mr. Daniel mentioned 100% before, like right now, right in 2021, I think it's it's just standard that every child should go to school, right? Regardless of gender. It's just that's just what we have to do. So if you look at something like that, but then you look at certain African cultures that say there's no need for a girl child to go to school, but then the boys go to school, how do you think that we can handle something like that? You know? Because if you're saying you're truly communist or you're truly communal, then that means no. If you're saying if you're saying girls should not go to school, that means boys should not go to school either. But that's kind of not the case in certain African cultures or society. And by school, I mean just basic education. I don't mean university or master's or doctorate. I mean just basic education so that your children are not illiterate. So I'm going to try to add Ruth once more, and then we can go ahead and do final thoughts and close out the show. Hello? No, not really. I'm not sure why. Okay, so unfortunately we weren't able to connect. Thank you guys again for being here. Happy International Women's Day. We really appreciate you guys being here, everybody watching, everybody who's going to watch the video back. Thank you so much for being here. And we have Daniel.
Hello.
Closing thoughts.
Thank you very much. I'm back again. The International Women's Day is a very important day, and we need to ensure that we support our women so that they can thrive and reach their full potential. And it's time to eradicate these stereotypes against women, so that women of African descent can get equal access to education, equal access to healthcare, and they can get the equal access to opportunities, because that's extremely important.
Yeah.
Just hold on for a second.
So unfortunately, we weren't able to connect. Thank you guys again for being here. Happy International Women's Day. We really appreciate.
Unfortunately, we were unable to connect with one of the members, but I encourage the African leaders to prioritize women empowerment, because we need to be in the front line to ensure that African women are empowered, and all these cultural practices that suppress women and shut women down, this kind of cultures need to be eradicated, so that women of African descent in Africa and the Caribbean and all over the world, they can reach their full potential. At the same time, we are calling on an end to natural hair discrimination laws against Black women in the United States, and also police brutality against Black women, because there's been that narrative that Black women are strong. If you hit them down, they won't feel the pain. But this kind of racist definition of Black women needs to come to an end, because Black women feel pain too, like any other women, and they have a right. They have a right to cry. They also have a right to express their pain, and we need to support Black women, to protect Black women, and at the same time to ensure that we provide more opportunities for Black women to be able to thrive and prosper. As men, we need to be in the front line in women empowerment, because our societies cannot thrive if women are not empowered, and women are not in positions where important issues are being decided. They need to be there, and Black women can. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to speak on this important occasion. Have a great day, everyone, and good evening, good morning, depending on where you are.
Thank you once again, everyone. Have a nice day. Goodbye.